must continue your journey without me.
What are you... What? Master! You can't leave me!
Hey, what's up? ReZero is definitely a history full of mysteries. Honestly, there's no shortage of mystery here. Tappei loves planting unanswered questions. If you take a tree from ReZero and shake it, about 50 mysteries will fall out. From small questions like, how does Subaru always find the door Beatrice is behind? Or, why can Subaru see the invisible hands? To big mysteries like, how and why did Satella summon Subaru? Or the famous, why is Subaru called the Sage? Ladies and gentlemen, today we'll look at one of the strongest theories in ReZero, why Subaru is the Sage and possibly the Flugel. I don't even need to say that there will be spoilers, right? Because there will be, and lots of them. In this video, I will use information from the light novel, alternative stories, and the author's answers in interviews. What I'm going to present to you today is, without a doubt, one of the biggest questions in the entire series, and is probably one of the 3 great mysteries of ReZero. To understand why Subaru is a Sage, we first have to understand what a Sage is in ReZero. There are 2 types of Sage in the work. The first type is the title that only Flugel held, which is the Sage. The second type is the group of wise men from the Royal Council. This second type is that bunch of old men who stayed in the royal selection organizing everything, the stuff. Remember the famous guy with big eyebrows? So that guy is part of the Council of Sages, except it's not the same thing Flugel was. Those guys are too, but honestly, Flugel is on another level, man. That guy was truly wise, dude. I'll show you.
But Baru, who is Flugel? What does he look like?
Guess what, little Joe? We hardly have anything left of him. The only thing we know is that he was the Sage and that he was incredibly awesome. That's all. And to be a Sage like Flugel, you have to meet some very special requirements. One of them is apparently to smell like the witch Satella, and the other is to subscribe to the channel. Ha, gotcha, didn't I? So guys, let's become Sage. Of course, besides having to smell like a witch, that person probably has to be very intelligent. It's obvious, right? There's no way a guy can be an idiot and be called Sage, is there? Or is there? People who hold the title of Sage are highly respected individuals with great achievements or significant global impact. The only person in history to have held that title was the Flugel. Of course, saying you have to smell like a witch is a bit vague after all. Cultists also have that scent, but it's something characteristic. It's like a scent that only Satella could give off. And what this implies is that Flugel had all the authority. One of the authorities we saw Betelgeuse receive was the authority from Sloth. In that scene, you can see that he received it from the Flugel, because he mentions the Flugel's name. So probably the Flugel also had the other authorities, and he ended up distributing them for some reason. If Flugel was the only Sage in existence, and the only one with all the authority, that's probably what allows him to be considered a Sage, although it hasn't been confirmed yet.
But Baru, are you saying that Flugel also smelled like Satella?
So guys, it seems he did have it. In Arc 6, Shaula talks a bit about this, and also tells us a little about the Flugel. For those who have already seen the Gluttony route here on the channel, you should already have an idea of who Shaula is. Shaula was an apprentice of the Flugel and had a lot of contact with him 400 years ago. Flugel trained her, made her clothes, and gave her the mission of taking care of the Pleiades Tower, which was his tower. Alright guys, let's take it one step at a time. Let's talk about Flugel. He was part of the toughest crew in the world. His group consisted of 4 people. Rita Estrella, who was the first sword saint, Volcanica, who was the divine dragon, Shaula, who was the guardian of the tower, and himself, who was the Sage. This Fantastic Four managed to trap Satella, but they couldn't kill her. That's why Flugel had the idea to build the tower there. There, he managed to trap Satella, sealing her away. And that wasn't all Flugel did, you know? Besides creating the tower, he tested it, designed the structure floor by floor, and based everything on stars and constellations. That guy is the GOAT man. Then you ask me, how did he manage to do that with stars that only exist on Earth? Alright guys, Flugel was summoned too. But hold on, we'll get there. According to Shaula, Flugel, besides being very powerful and intelligent, had the same scent as Subaru. Well, the only smell Subaru has so far is Satella's smell, right man? There's nothing else to say, just connect the dots.
But Baru, Shaula alone saying that isn't enough to say that Subaru is Flugel.
Okay, so if Shaula's word alone isn't enough, what do you guys say about the scene in the light novel, at the witch's tea party, where Daphne says Subaru is a candidate for Sage? Look, 2 people have already confirmed the same thing. I'm telling you, Subaru being a Sage is already half the battle. Now what are the chances of Subaru being Flugel? Who was the Sage? Looking at all the evidence I have here guys, I'd say the chance is very high. It's really high, okay? Get your popcorn ready, settle into a comfortable spot, because I'm about to blow your mind. Currently, we have so much proof. Both Subaru and Flugel are summoned, and both are Japanese. And how is this confirmed? Well, we know about Subaru because we saw him being summoned, right? Now about Flugel, we know because he left a message on his tree. The Flugel tree. That tree in the middle of nowhere, remember? The one that was felled on top of the whale? Well, that tree was Flugel's tree, and he left a message on it. He wrote, Flugel was here. The funny thing is that Subaru has done that too, and that tree is essential for him to defeat the whale. It's strange to say the least, right? A tree in the middle of nowhere for no apparent reason. I don't know, just so Subaru can knock it down. More absurd than that is just strange. Coincidences. Subaru and Flugel both love stars and constellations. They both know a lot. So much so that the tower Flugel created is called the Pleiades Tower. Okay folks, for those who still don't understand, the Pleiades is a constellation of stars that only exists in Earth's universe. And of course, besides the names he gave to each floor of the tower, which are each of the stars that appear in the Pleiades constellation. There's nothing more to say, guys. Flugel is Japanese. Another strange coincidence is the name Pleiades itself. The name of this constellation, in Japanese, is Subaru. And this reference is also used in the Subaru brand, the one that makes cars. Besides the tower that Flugel named Pleiades, on the Root of Wrath, Subaru names his criminal organization Pleiades. I don't know guys, I'm seeing a strange coincidence, huh? Furthermore, each of the bishops is named after a star as well. Betelgeuse refers to the star Betelgeuse, Regulus refers to the star in the constellation Leo, and so on. One interesting fact here is that the only bishop who doesn't have a star reference is Stride Wallachia, who, interestingly, is the only bishop who died in the story before Subaru appeared. That's strange, isn't it? And what's even more curious is that the person who has a chance of becoming the new Bishop of Pride, since Stride is dead, is Aldebaran. And Aldebaran makes a reference to the star. Look at that, man. Obviously, Flugel also gave his apprentice Shaula the name of a star. Her name is a reference to the brightest star in the constellation Scorpio. I wonder why. Furthermore, he chose the colors of her outfit as well. And basically, her colors are the same as Subaru's.
Oh, Baru, is that all the evidence? I thought it was too little.
You want more? Okay then, hold on. One thing that reinforces the theory that Subaru is Flugel is that Satella knew Subaru even before he saw her. That makes absolutely no sense, you know. How could she know him before he saw her, and vice versa? If he was summoned at that moment, there's no way Satella could have already known him, unless he's Flugel reincarnated, or, I don't know, Flugel without memories, like an older version of Subaru. I don't know, some bizarre plot twist. One thing I didn't see anyone commenting on was the basketball in Emilia's room when she was in the Elior forest. Basketball, that exists on Earth, right? How does a basketball just suddenly appear in her room? Look, I could be wrong, I don't remember seeing basketball at any point in the story, okay? But I think it was Flugel who gave that ball to Emilia. Since Flugel was very close to Guse, and also to the village, he probably passed the ball to Emilia and left, right? Shaula mentions that Flugel did all that work to capture Satella and save humanity, but he gave all the credit to his apprentice and disappeared. He was never seen again, and the only things he had left behind were his tree and the coins, naturally with his face on them. Then you ask me, wow, so you can see his face, right? You can tell who he really is. Yeah guys, you can see it, sort of, right? Except the face doesn't look anything like Subaru's.
Ah, so the Flugel theory is ruled out here, right?
Not yet, hold on. Knowing Flugel as I do, and since he had all the authority, he may have changed his appearance using the authority of lust. For those who haven't watched the new season and don't know Capella, Capella is able to change her appearance with the power of lust. She can become whatever she wants. So Flugel, in theory, could become someone else if he wanted to. He went there, pulled the trick, right? He put on a fake face and placed it on the coin. Obviously, this is just a theory, okay? We don't really know if it happened, but Flugel is a clever guy. He might have used a mystique from the X-Men and put a fake face on the coin just to fool us. Another thing that doesn't make sense is Subaru remembering any person who ever existed. And I say this because even if the person is erased by Gluttony's authority, Subaru can still remember them. In Arc 6, when he was in the Hall of Memories, he surmises that Odd Laguna, which is the entity that regulates everything in that world, is administered by Flugel, who is the Sage. Now why does Subaru remember everyone, even if the person's soul has already been erased or their memory is somewhere else? How does he remember? It doesn't make any sense. If you think about it, if Subaru remembers, it's because he's Flugel, and Flugel was awesome. And then we have the record in the light novel that says Flugel was omniscient. Being omniscient basically means knowing everything, past, present, and future. All the possibilities that exist, feelings. The guy's like a god, you know? And although it's not actually confirmed whether he was omniscient or not, if we look at Subaru from a certain point of view, Subaru is also omniscient. For all the people who observe Subaru being perfect in his choices, he's practically omniscient, you know? It just depends on the most recent version of it. If you take, for example, the greed route, the guy is truly omniscient. He managed to do everything perfectly. And speaking of the greed route, Echidna already told Subaru that there's a sage in the Pleiades Tower, but he wouldn't help Subaru find a way to wake Rem. Well, that sentence implies she's talking about Shaula, and not Flugel. Before she died, Echidna already knew who Flugel was, and was familiar with him. And the strangest thing is that whenever Subaru mentions Flugel's name or the title of Sage, Echidna kind of avoids talking about it. She says,
"Let's talk about something else, shall we?"
"This isn't interesting." Yeah, Echidna, I've got my eye on you. So both Subaru and Flugel in Japanese have the same number of syllables, and that's quite suspicious to say the least. Seriously guys, if Subaru isn't Flugel somehow, I really want to see how Tapei is gonna get around that. Seriously, there are so many coincidences, man. It has to be them. There's plenty of evidence here, here, and if we look further, we'll probably find even more. To me, he's the Flugel man in some way. Time travel, memory erasure, reincarnation, I don't know. There's gonna be some crazy plot twist at the end, and he's gonna end up becoming the Flugel, I bet. And I hope Tappei gives a good explanation, man, because otherwise, I'm gonna have to punish Tappei.
But Baru, you're so dumb. If Subaru were Flugel, he would have already invented mayonnaise.
Wow, that's true, isn't it, man? So, what's your opinion on this topic? Is he really Flugel? Leave your comments below. And even if everything goes wrong, you can always start from zero again.